Hi everybody, it's Beth, and today I'm making some light up pumpkins. I grabbed a couple of these little boxes from Dollar Tree. They're in the Halloween section, but I removed the center of them, that little front piece. Some wired jute also from Dollar Tree, and this decorative tulle from Dollar Tree. Some LED tea lights, Spanish moss, and these little knob pieces from Hobby Lobby. Barn red, buttered yam, Prairie Sunset, burnt umber, acrylic paint, Mod Podge, and hot glue. I started by removing the image that's on the front of the box. I used my box cutter from Dollar Tree, just scored the edge of the image where it connected to the box, just went along the edge a bunch of times back and forth, and it eventually pops loose. And after I have removed the image, all the spots that I had removed it from where it was connected to the box, I just gave it a good sanding so it's nice and smooth. And then next, I had a certain color in mind that I wanted to do for this, but I couldn't find the color I had in my mind. So I just mixed some colors until I had close to the color I wanted. I mixed the barn red and the Prairie Sunset, about the same amount each, and then a little bit of the buttered yam, and just mixed those together until I had this color. And I painted the boxes completely, the outside and the inside, and those backings. Painted them entirely, and I did 2 coats. For the first box, I put the decorative tulle on the front of it, and I just cut out a piece where I kind of like the image above it and trimmed it up just about a little bit bigger than the size of the front of it. I trimmed it down really close. After I had it trimmed down, I put Mod Podge on the very front rim of the box. And then once the Mod Podge was applied, I placed down the image, making sure to stretch it out. And I did use my heating tool to speed up the drying process of the Mod Podge. You'll just need to make sure to not leave the heat on one spot for very long. It will just tear apart the tool. So then I started the next one just about the same way, but then the next one I didn't trim it as much the first time. It made the stretching it easier. So after I applied the Mod Podge and placed the tool down, I trimmed it up afterwards. It made it a little bit easier. And then after the first layer of Mod Podge was dry underneath, I did an outer layer of Mod Podge around that rim as well. And then after that was dry, I flipped the boxes upside down on a mat and just used my razor blade and went along the edge and trimmed up the tulle. Next, I took those little knob pieces from Hobby Lobby and I painted them with the burnt umber acrylic paint, and I did 2 coats. And then I took my wire jute, and the jute tends to come off the wire after you cut it. So I just used some hot glue and my finger protector and just hot glued the ends and just wrapped some hot glue on the end so it doesn't come off. And then wrapped it around the end of my paintbrush just to give it a nice little loop, and then stretched it out a bit so you just have that little curl, and I made 2 of those. And then I put the backings back in the boxes, hot glued the dried little knob pieces on the tops of those, making sure to hot glue those to the part where the backs go on the tops of those. Stretched out my little curly cues I made and hot glued those to the little knobs on the top. Next, I just hot glued some Spanish moss to the top, and I did that to both of those. This is what they're looking like so far. And so one of the tea lights that I got was a dud, so I used a larger one in one of them. So I just turned them on and stuck them in the little boxes, and then put the backings back on, and that is it. I think they turned out super pretty. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video.